Hello again. Welcome to another episode of the 8 Fundamental Pillars of Business Marketing. I'm here with my good friend and coach and mentor, Dave SHILLITO.
Oh,
So I hope you're doing well, Dave. Thanks for
yes.
coming on again today.
Yeah, never better today.
I'm just going to ask you, what is actually the second pillar and why is it so fundamental to business?
The second pillar is list building, database marketing. Now, this is really important and really fundamental for lots of reasons. I'm sure your viewers and listeners understand actually, maybe they don't understand the value of list building. So that's what I'm going to talk about today and why it is a fundamental pillar. As I said before, if you typed into the Google machine, what are the fundamentals of business, you'd get many opinions. So this is just through my lens after 3 decades of in the trenches, slugging it out in the prison yard of commerce. These are, I kind of did a reverse thing. I thought, well, I'm going to make a list of things that if they're missing, your business is really going to struggle. If you don't understand these concepts and or you haven't baked them into your business, then you'll probably struggle in the long term. But if you've got these things locked down, then you've got a fighting chance. And so the second fundamental pillar of business is, in my opinion, list building. Why building a house list is actually critical to your business success. Now, here's the reason. Well, actually, there are many reasons, but here are the main reasons. There is always a cost to new customer acquisition. There's always a cost. Usually it's a hard cost, of course, which is money. But sometimes it can be a cost in time and labor. It's one of the great tragedies of small businesses that most small business owners don't value the time. They value it at £0 or $0 per hour. There's an old joke about entrepreneurialism that we will spend 70 hours a week avoiding working 40. Right. Anyway, the point is that when it comes to new customer acquisition, there is always a cost, whether it's a hard cost, money, or whether it's just time and labor. So, given that you are going to spend either money or time or both to acquire a new customer, why wouldn't you want to sell them more of what they already bought or something associated or related? Why wouldn't you want to start a relationship? It's a pretty obvious fact to me that it's far easier to sell to an existing customer than it is to find a new one, right? Because they don't have to jump through all those know, like, and trust hurdles again. And also it's far cheaper, right? Usually free. Because the most expensive sale is always the first one. The most expensive sale you make is the first one. Why? I know that's a bit of a broad brushstroke, but take it in the context that it's meant. Why is the most expensive sale the first one? And that is because usually the cost of acquiring that lead has to come out of the first sales profit, if there is any profit. Sometimes first sales are just a loss leader to get people on your list, which is a perfectly legitimate business model. But the point is that the first sale is the most expensive because the cost of lead generation has to come out of any profit that's in that first sale. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Well, you and your viewers and listeners may have heard it said that a prospect has to be exposed to your marketing an average of 7 times before they buy. Have you heard that, Raj?
I've heard that all the time.
Yeah, got to be exposed to your marketing an average of 7 times. That's not new. That really isn't new. It may not be true, but it's certainly not new. It was a favorite of newspaper ad salespeople who wanted to sell you a series of ads. Right? That was the business they were in. They didn't like it if you just bought one ad. They wanted to sell you a series of ads. So they would offer you a series of ads at a discount, and they would use the justification that, oh yeah, well, people do need to see your ad repeatedly. There have been studies done which says that they need to see your ad 7 times before they buy. Well, I'm not sure about that. This 7 touches idea may or may not still be true in this digital age. As we said in the last one, there's a meme which is basically, if your marketing is really, really good, you don't need to do any selling, right? So the meme is, take my money. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that means if your marketing is on point, people will buy on first contact. As soon as they see the thing, they'll go, shoo, shoo, shoo. I want that. 7 touches? I don't think so. If my washing machine has broken down and my kitchen's flooded and I'm on the hunt for a new washing machine, if I see the right machine at the right price, I'm not going, you know what? I think I'm going to have to see this company. No, 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 no. You don't need to see the company's ad another 7 times. You're going to buy on site. So I'm not sure that the 7 touches thing is still legitimate. But what I do know for a fact is that as business owners, we do not want to be paying again and again for those repeated touches, as you did with the newspaper ads. So the newspaper ad sales people would sell you a series of ads at a discount. So each ad pro rata was cheaper, but they'd still sell you a series of ads. In other words, you were paying for each ad, even though it was at a discounted rate, right? We don't want to be doing that with the Tinterwebs. We don't want to be paying again and again for every repeated touch. So it makes sense, doesn't it, to be spending your marketing money on building a list, that you can then nurture a relationship with and then stream your offers down at no further cost. So let me run that by you again. It makes sense to spend some or all of your marketing budget on list building. Because
Correct.
Yeah, because then you can nurture a relationship with the people on that list at no ongoing cost, in your own time. They can get to know, like, and trust you through your regular messages, and it's not going to cost you to make those continued touches, right? So people will stay on your list whether until they buy or bugger off, basically. So there are only a handful of industries where list building's not really worthwhile. These are big ticket sales in the domestic, business to consumer. So what pops to my mind would be windows, for instance. I used to sell windows for Weatherlight windows. So windows, people aren't buying new windows every month, right? So keeping a list of people who bought windows is not really going to help you all that much. Maybe a referral and recommendation program, maybe some kind of reward program. If they recommend their friends and family, they get some vouchers or something. That might work. But streaming offers for new windows down a Windows buyer's list is not really going to work. Central heating is also another one. I used to sell central heating for a servo warm in Wakefield. And a car wash, for instance, right? People use car washes based on location. So having those people on the list might not be the best thing, because people are only going to come when the car's dirty and they always come back to the same one anyway. But for almost every other business, list building's not an option. It is actually essential. So is that all kind of clear so far?
Sorry, Dave. Someone's knocking on the door.
All right. Okay.
Well,
is your good lady around? Will she be able to answer that?
She's at work today.
Oh, is she? Okay. Do you want me to? Do you want to pause this while you go check?
Yeah, just pause it. It might not be for me.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Back in the room. Okay. So where were we? Right. A quick quiz, a quick conundrum for your viewers and listeners. What do Google and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube all have in common? What do all those platforms have in common? Yeah, apart from they're all media that have all but replaced TV. But other than that, what do they have in common? I'll tell you. You don't own any of them. You don't own any of them. You do not own those media. Anything you create and publish on there is subject to the fickle winds of their whims, and you do not own that media. That means
Ah.
if you build lists based on those platforms, dependent on those platforms, somebody else can pull the rug, right?
Ah, I didn't know that.
Somebody else can pull the rug. It might be because of something that you did or you didn't do, knowingly or not, for any number of reasons. It happens to me. It's happened to many of my friends and associates. You can get accounts suspended or closed down for all kinds of crazy reasons. Or the platform itself could disappear, right? I'm sure back in the day, there were people selling courses on how to build a list on MySpace. Or you know, how to monetize your Periscope list. The platform disappears, and your ability to communicate with those people disappears. Anyway, so this is why the only kind of house list you should be building is an email list. Because the truth is that email is the only media you ever actually own. That is such an important point. I'm going to run it up your viewers' flagpoles again, make sure they salute it. Email's the only platform you actually ever own. This is why people and movements constantly at risk of being deplatformed, banned, they are desperate to build an email list to keep in touch with their customers and followers. You may have seen this on Tinterweb. They're always trying to push people, or they should be trying to push people to join an email list.
Yes.
So as the reasons for online censorship get more and more trivial and political in this day and age, and the list of rules that can get your account banned silently grows. Freud, come here. Grows every week. It's good old email to the rescue. So it's the only media that you actually own. Now let's just have a look at a few types of lists that you can build. Right, so this will include email lists, but there are lots of other types of lists that you can build as well. I'm recommending email, but not exclusively and only email, but essentially email. So email has to be in the mix there. So this is a brief list of the types of list that you can build in order of decreasing vulnerability. Right, decreasing vulnerability. So the first one would be a direct mail list. Right, this is people's actual names and addresses of the house where they live. This is how business has been done for hundreds of years. Right, before the internet came along, before email came along, this is how people communicated, how they made offers. They did it through the mail. As you know, I've published books on postcard marketing, on direct mail, all kinds of stuff, and I'm a big fan of direct mail. Still. So although it's quite a risky thing to do, there's a lot of investment up front. There are certain advantages, not least of which is there are no gatekeepers, and the price of a stamp is cheaper than the price of a click. Think about it. Anyway, well, I don't want to get too far off topic here, but people change their address, their land-based address, a lot less often than they change anything else, including email address, right? I don't know how long you've been living in the house that you've been living there, but I'm sure you've had a couple of email addresses since you moved in there. So that kind of proves the point. So the second would be email. The third would be SMS, mobile, right? Collecting people's mobile numbers and then broadcasting multimedia messages or just text messages to their mobile phone. Then Facebook groups, which is Facebook platform dependent, of course. Facebook Messenger, Facebook custom audiences. So this is a list in order of decreasing vulnerability. Or is it increasing vulnerability? Yeah, as I go through this list, they're getting more and more vulnerable, aren't they? Anyway, followers on any platform and subscribers on any platform. So that's the list of lists. Then there's the type of person on the list in decreasing value. So I'll try and get this right this time around. Okay, this is a list of types of people on any list in decreasing value. So the first one is an evangelist. The evangelist is somebody who will promote you and your products and services without reward and without you even having to ask. They'll just trumpet who you are and tell the world what a great person or your product or service is without you having to do or say or incentivize them. They're the best type of people to have on the list, evangelists. Next type would be repeat customers. This is people who've bought from you several times. Repeat customers of yours. Next valuable down the pipe would be one-time customers. So they're still a customer, they're still on your buyers list, but they've only bought one thing one time. Okay. Then there's the prospect, which is somebody who's interested. Remember from last time, somebody who's put their hand up, but they've not yet put their hand in the pocket. So this is a prospect. So they're likely to convert because they're pre-interested, pre-motivated people. And then finally, inquirers. People who've inquired.
Okay.
Right? So at the bottom of the totem, there's inquirers, then prospects. People who've joined your list. They're likely to convert. You've started a conversation with them. People who've bought once. People who've bought from you more than once. And then at the top of the tree, there's the evangelists. Wonderful. There are other lists, of course. You can rent lists of people who are multi-buyers of somebody else's product. So this means that when they are buyers, they do buy stuff. They whip the card out and buy stuff. And it's valuable to know that they've bought somebody else's complementary product more than once. That's a valuable list to rent. But I'm just talking about lists that you build yourself. So based on that criteria, a really valuable list would be an email list of repeat buyers of your product or service. Right? So that's a pretty damn valuable list. An email list of repeat buyers of your product or service. So again, at least some of, if not most of your marketing budget should go towards building an email list. Yeah. You can also build Facebook groups because repeat messaging to either of these audiences is free. This is repeat messaging after the initial cost of acquisition. Remember, we mentioned that at the top of the broadcast. So let's have a look at a couple of everyday examples so people can get their noggin around just why it's so important for the robustness and the longevity of a business to build a list of customers. A couple of everyday examples. Let's say you've got two hairdressers, right? Two hairdressing businesses, and they're operating in the same shopping center, right? Both have been in business about the same length of time. Both have got about the same footfall. There's nothing much to choose between them. But only one of them has built an email list of every single customer, past or present. Anybody who's ever come in the shop. The staff are trained that this is important. We must get their contact details in exchange for a discount or a free shampoo or something. That's not the point. We can discuss that later. But only one of those businesses has regularly over the years harvested all the customers' details. Why does this put them at an advantage? Well, because the shopping centre could burn to the ground. So you've got these two businesses, only one of which has been building a list of customers, and the entire shopping centre burns to the ground overnight. Now, here's my question to your viewers. Which one of those two businesses is back doing business 30 days later? They might be in a pop-up shop. They might be with chairs that they've begged, stolen or borrowed. It might be higgledy-piggledy or what have you, but they have this list of regular customers that they can broadcast to for free and tell the story and say, you may have seen on the news the centre, the shopping centre burnt down. We're all devastated, but we will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. And as the owner, what I need you to do is please give me a call on my private mobile number and book in, blah, 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 yada, 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 right? So yeah. that would mean that business was back in business somehow, some way, within 30 days, because they can now get back in touch with anybody who's ever had their haircut there and make a plea to them. Here's another example. Let's say that a one-man army has been in place on the high street let's say it's a small computer shop, right? And this small computer shop gets some bad news. His landlord's putting his rent up by 3 times. So their beloved little shop unit that they've been in for 14 years is now no longer financially viable. It happens, right? So what is the one thing that this shop owner could have been doing over all those years that would mean moving shop premises is just geography? Building a list. If he's got to move, all he does is broadcast to his list and say, hey, we're moving. If you come and see us at the new shop, print this email out, present it over the counter, we'll give you a free whatever. You can see how that works. So if, as a business, you are slowly but surely building a list of customers and hosting that list on a cloud-based list management system, it's called an autoresponder. We'll talk about that more if we've got time. Then that list can't be lost. It can't be burnt down. It can't be flooded out, and it can't be stolen. If you've built a list in the cloud, then nothing can happen to that list. Nothing can happen. It can't be lost. It can't be burnt down. It can't be flooded out. It can't be stolen. I mean, if you have your house list on a CD that you put in the safe every night and it's constantly updated on a disc, some disgruntled employee could pinch the disc. There are reasons why it would be of no use to them. That's because they don't have the relationship with the people on the list. Your employee didn't sell them anything. They're the person who's not been speaking in the owner's voice. So people on the list don't have a relationship with the employee who pinched the disc. But that's not the point. I'm getting off topic here. It makes sense, doesn't it, that marketing consultants, when they go into a business, one of the first things they look for is dormant, unrecognized, unused, or underused business assets. What assets has this company got? Never mind creating new assets, never mind doing anything new. What have they already got that they're not making money with? And if a company's past customers haven't been compiled into a list, that's the first thing, right? That's the first thing a marketing consultant would do. They would sit down with the boss and say, okay, all the people who've bought from you before, are they on a list? The answer to which will be yes or no. And they go through this process. And if they don't have an email list that they regularly email early bird offers and existing customer specials to on a regular basis, that's the first thing that the marketing consultant will fix. Why? Because it's known as low-hanging fruit. Okay. It's the easiest thing to do. So if it's the first thing that a marketing consultant would do if they sat down with you as a small business or a medium business or even a big business, then it makes sense, doesn't it, to be ahead of the game. And if you haven't started building an email list, then you need to do that. Now, I know there are plenty of questions that would pop into your head if you haven't got an email list or you haven't started building an email list. How do I do it? What's the process? Why would somebody want to join my list? Yada, yada, yada. These are all legitimate questions that I don't have time to answer now, although my brand is Business Model Mastery. There are several on-ramps if you just want to Google me and my brand. And these are all covered elsewhere in other trainings. But this particular training for you, Raj, is the 8 fundamental pillars of business marketing. And this idea of building an email list is a fundamental pillar, because for most businesses, almost all, not building a list of customers is foolish. It's costly. And as you saw from those 2 examples, high street examples I gave, not having a list can be fatal. Those hairdressers, the one that didn't build a list, business is done. So I hope that's been of some use to you, been of some value.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very valuable. What you're saying about building a list, especially an email list, is paramount to businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what the statistics are for businesses failing in the first 5 years and then further in the first 3 years. So building an email list is a fundamental pillar of business marketing, like you
Yeah,
said.
absolutely. So, people watching this, they may be, well, I'm a tradesman. You know, I'm a sparky, I'm a brickie, I'm an electrician, or I'm on the tools. Surely this doesn't apply to me. Yeah, it does. It does apply to you. Yes. Now, one of the questions that you may be asking if you're in that kind of a trade is, and you're selling B2C in people's houses, is, okay, well, I am an electrician and I'm bloody good at what I do, but why would people want to read emails about electrical stuff? How am I going to create interesting, engaging emails every week or every month that people will actually want to read? If they don't have a problem with their electrics, surely they're just going to go, oh, yeah, it's the electrician sending me an email about sockets or something. Well, there is an answer to that, and the answer to that is covered in another product that I have. I'm not going to promote it here other than tell you its name. It's called Email as a Show. That solves that problem. So as I said, for businesses other than things like one and dones in the domestic market, such as windows and central heating and so on and so forth, then everybody else really should be building a list. They really should. What you sent on that list, what messaging, what voice you use are other questions, and there's side issues from how important it is to build a list and regularly market to that list. It's very, very important. And I hope that's the message that people have got from this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Like you said, email list, fundamental, paramount. If they don't, you're not going to be in business for very long. Like the examples you gave about the hairdressers, and also like the example about the computer shop. I mean, if you'd have kept the list moving shop, or he could even start from home, you can contact the customer and say, oh yeah, I'm still doing repairs at home, looking for an office later on, but you could build up from there, and then you can get referrals and recommendations from there.
You can even ask your list if they know anywhere nearby that's got premises. You know, people on your list want to help you. They feel as if they're fully engaged, and if you give them a shout out, it's not complicated. The more human you are, the better. So corporate speak is out. This is 2020 moving forwards. So I don't know whenever people are watching this, it could be in the future. But from 2020 onwards, the corporate speak is pretty much out the window. People are interested in humans.
I agree.
People are interested in humans. They want to buy from humans, which have their own faults and peccadillos and challenges, and people understand. It's like public speaking. People want you to succeed. They're on your side. They're rooting for you. So, yeah.
What would you say would be the hidden benefits of, I mean, I know you explained it, but say, for instance, hidden benefits of, say you got two businesses. Let's say, like you said, you talk about plumbers or electricians.
Yeah. Oh, a hidden benefit.
Yeah, of the email marketing for someone who's a plumber or an electrician. I know you said that.
Well, not just those trades. I mean, those are personality businesses. They're not brands. So a hidden benefit. Yes, the main hidden benefit that springs to mind of building an email list is it makes your business more valuable when the time comes to sell. So there are lifestyle businesses and there are corporate businesses. I'm not speaking into what any of your viewers may be working under, what kind of business they're running. I can't second guess that. But one of my mentors said that true entrepreneurialism is starting with the end in mind. What must this business look like within 60 months so that somebody would want to buy it? So let's just assume that person that we were speaking about earlier, the guy in the computer shop, let's say you and I, Raj, we're interested in going into the computer consumables business, and we went looking around his shop, and you know, don't own the building that's leased. There's tables and chairs that have no real value. There's the stock that you can see, and he'll try and the idea that goodwill is of any value is no longer true. It's footfall. It's what, you know. Anyway, so he didn't really have anything for sale and didn't have anything to sell. But then he drops into the conversation, well, I do have a house list. Everybody who's ever bought anything from me at the shop, I've kept their name and email address. And I think I have 4,400 emails at the moment. And I regularly send them member specials and early bird offers. You'd be like, what? That's the asset. The list is the business. I can take this business anywhere, to any geographical location. As long as I've got that list, the list is the business. So all of a sudden now that business is worth something to us, and we'll be going, oh, right, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, everything in the shop and the shop itself is valueless, but the list, right. Okay, now we're back talking about how much the business is worth to sell, because the list is the business and the business is the list. So the hidden benefit, finally, in my opinion, is that building a list that you regularly broadcast to people who know you, like you, and trust you, and are repeat customers, adds so much value to a business that it makes it far more valuable if and when the time comes to sell.
Oh, I see. So a business that, like you said, with the example that you give, a very good example, all the assets, the main asset is the list.
Yes.
The money's, that's why they keep saying the money's in the list, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can build it from there, rather than starting from scratch, building the customer list. He's already got a list of 4,400 customers,
yes,
which you could probably expand, because if he's sending them emails constantly, he's keeping them engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
this
a
is
lot
one of the problems with e-commerce, you know, FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, selling on platforms like the Amazon business. It's one and done. You know, you may be finding somebody who wants to buy a dog toy at $18 or something, but what else are they going to buy? You could offer them more doggy stuff or what have you, but you've got to find new customers. Metaphorically, every Monday morning, you're starting again from scratch. You need more customers and more customers and more customers every single day or hour or week or month. More customers, more customers. Whereas if you're building a list, the money's in the list, as you quite rightly say. If you're going back to people who know you, like you, trust you, and have bought things from you in the past, it's far, far easier to sell to somebody whom you've already sold something to than it is to generate a lead from the get-go. That's expensive time, money, which brings us full circle back to where we started when we were talking, that the cost of acquisition is always baked into that first sale. So any sale you make via email is free. No cost of acquisition. That in and of itself should be a potent enough reason for your viewers and listeners to start building an email list, or pat themselves on the back metaphorically if they've already done that.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, you know, it's great you talking about the list building. I've learned some stuff today as well.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that you need to add to that?
I don't think so, no. I do appreciate the time that everybody's spent watching this. We know that the most valuable commodity in the Western world is not gold, it's not oil, it's attention. And the people watching this have given you and I their attention for, hopefully, for the duration of this tutorial, instructional piece of gooey goodness. So that's what I'd like to finish on. I'd like to say thank you for giving us your time and choosing to spend it with us. I'm most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you once again taking time out from your busy schedule, Dave. I hope the views are
it's been a pleasure.
Enjoyable. And until next time, to the next pillar, I'll see you soon.
Yes, for pillar number 3.
Pillar number 3. That's great. Thanks, Dave.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.